Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome to a very special episode here on the Captain Mac channel. And it's special for three reasons. First and foremost, this is officially the first video I am recording on the new PC. And I just want to say, man, you guys are awesome. This PC, I was able to build this with donations that came from you guys. There's no way I could have done this otherwise. It runs substantially better than the system that I had before, and I mean substantially better. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for the generosity of so many of you and just the ongoing support and encouragement. Now, I tried to make it a point to write down the name of every single person who donated so that I could give you guys a special thank you. Now, there were a few of you that donated and did not want your name mentioned on the channel, and I will respect that. I've kept those names separate, and there is the possibility that I missed a couple of names on here, and if I do miss your name, I sincerely apologize, and please let me know so that I can make it a point to give you the recognition that you deserve for your generosity, your kindness, and your support to my channel, because I really appreciate it. Now, I'm not going to say how much each person donated, because that's not what's important. What matters here is simply that these individuals were all able to help out and did so. Now, if you weren't able to help out, or even if you just didn't want to, that's quite all right. I don't have any hard feelings about that or anything like that, and I still appreciate your support of the channel in any way that you do support it, whether it's just watching videos or jumping down in the comments and giving feedback and so on. And so I really appreciate all of you very much. We've got over 8,400 subscribers on this channel, and you guys are all just absolutely fantastic. And so I just want to be really clear that I think all of my subscribers are freaking awesome. But I do want to give a special thank you out to these folks who were able to donate towards this new PC. Keith, Pete, and a couple of these I could butcher them, so I apologize if I do. Bjorn, Alex, Bill Bugeater, I like that name. Vincent, Scott, Mike, Dustin, Luciano, and Susie. Now, those are all the names of individuals who donated towards this new PC and were alright with me sharing their name on the channel. There are others on this list who donated but do not want their name shared on the channel, and there are several of those, and so I just want to say thank you to all of you as well. I really appreciate everything, guys. This system is really great. The only thing that I wasn't able to get was a new graphics card, and hopefully we'll get an opportunity to do that in the not too distant future. But in the meantime, we've got a really solid system here, and it's running really great, so I'm really excited about what this is going to bring for the future of this channel and future videos. Now, that being said, today is a celebration of America's birthday. Happy birthday, America. It's 4th of July. Officially, really, honestly, no, today's not the 4th of July. This is a few days before the 4th of July, because I want to release this video on the 4th of July. So for you, right now, it is the 4th of July. So happy 4th of July if you're here in the United States. It's a fun day of celebration. Now, you may be wondering yourself, why on earth are you flying a British Airways airplane on the 4th of July? And if you're from Britain, you may think that's a dig at you because the 4th of July was about independence and all of that stuff from Britain. No, that's not why. The reason that we are flying a British Airways flight today is because today is also Mark Webster's birthday. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we are celebrating. This flight specifically is to celebrate both the 4th of July, or Independence Day, here in the United States, and to celebrate Mark Webster's birthday over in the UK. And Mark has been a subscriber to this channel for a long time. He's been a huge supporter of this channel, and I just, you know, he mentioned it was going to be his birthday, asked if I was going to be doing something special for the 4th of July, and, you know, I just can't think of a better way to celebrate the 4th of July on this channel than to celebrate the birthday of both this nation, essentially. We'll not get into the history of it, but that's Independence Day. I think it's a great way to celebrate Independence Day on this channel, and also, or a great way to celebrate the channel even. because we're able to do this here. There are certainly places in the world where people can't do things like this, but also to celebrate the birthday of one of our subscribers. I think that's just fantastic. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be flying a real-world flight. Now, this flight is from Phoenix to Heathrow. Now, I don't know if they've changed it yet, but they certainly were planning on changing it. This flight for a long time has been flown in a British Airways 747-400, and I've seen that flight come and go in Phoenix many times. But because the 747-400 has really been getting phased out by almost all airlines at this point, I don't know if it's completely done or not. Some of you probably do. They were planning on switching it to either a 787 or a 777. Now, I don't know if they have switched it yet, and if they have, which one they've switched it to, because I don't live in Phoenix anymore, so I don't see which flight comes and goes. And with everything going on in the world right now, there's a lot of flights that simply aren't going, so I can't find a real world flight. So that being said, I decided to do this flight in our PMDG 777 for a number of reasons, not the least of which is I really love this aircraft, but it's also more than capable of making the trip, carrying a large number of passengers and so on. You will find that in the first class cabin of this aircraft today, we have a total of 10 individuals. One of them is the VIP for the day, and that's Mark Webster, and the rest of them are made up of some of his friends, family, and a few other members of the channel, myself not included, because I'll be up on the flight deck, but we'll invite Mark up there to hang out with us for at least a little portion of the flight, even though technically that's illegal, right? So anyway, that's going to be our flight for today. I hope that you guys really enjoy this one, and what do you say we climb up in the office and get this show on the road? Welcome aboard British Airways Flight 0704, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a quick look at our fuel and payload for the day, just so that we're ready to dig in here. So you can see it's Sky Harbor out to Heathrow. The air distance is 4,573 nautical miles. It's going to be a nice long flight. We're going to start out at flight level 330. We'll step it up to 35, 37, 38, and then all the way up apparently to 39, although that doesn't really make sense. Probably should be either stay at 38 or go to 40. Trip fuel is 145,470 pounds. Now, you're probably saying, well, it's a British Airways flight. It should be in kilos. You're right, it should. Everything on this aircraft is configured the way British Airways uses it, except for a couple of the call-outs and pounds versus kilograms. I switched it to pounds from kilos simply because I don't want to do the conversion. I'm just too lazy to do the conversion, so we're going to do it in pounds, and that's just what we're going to stick with. All right. We've got a little over 7,000 pounds of contingency fuel. Final reserves a little over 6,000 pounds. So our block fuel for the day is 169,752 pounds. Throw in a little bit of captain's fuel, and we're at an even 170,000 pounds of fuel. There's the route for the day. It's going to be a pretty long one. I will put in the first couple. Actually, I probably won't put in any of them. We're gonna just request the route from company today, and I think that's the easier way to go, because otherwise it's going to take us a while to put all that in. We are estimated to depart at midnight Zulu time for July 4th. And we're estimated to have 364 packs on board. Now, this configuration doesn't actually hold that many. But you can't set up different configurations on SimBrief as far as packs go. At least I don't think you can. Maybe there is a way to do it, and I just don't know how. If there's a way to set it up so that it's configured the same as the config file in FSX, let me know, because then I can make sure the pack counts are correct. Not a lot of cargo. It's really just baggage, about 1,600 pounds of baggage. Total payload 85,300 pounds, and our zero fuel weight is 429,500 pounds. Max would be 461, so we're not too close to max, but we're up there pretty high. It's pretty heavy. So that's going to be the gist of our plan for the day. Taking a real quick look at the weather here in Phoenix. And you can see, so the date's off because I'm obviously recording this a few days before July 4th so that I can release it on July 4th. Right now, wind is 130 at 6 knots. Plenty of visibility, a few scattered clouds out there. 2975 on the altimeter. And that's about it. And if we look here, we're expecting runway 8. And that'll work for 130 because the runways are 8 and 26 and 7 and 25. So one way or another, we're going to have a crosswind. Based on the side of the airfield we're on, runway 8 will be easier anyway. So that's a bit of the plan for the day. As you can see, power is already on the aircraft, and we're going to dive right on into our pre-flight checklist here. And I want to try and make it a habit to start using the internal checklists when they're available rather than popping up those checklists, right? So if we jump down here, you can see we got a few pre-flight things on here, and then I've got several more on the checklist in hand. And you guys let me know, do you want to see the checklist pop-ups? Does it really matter to you? You know, I don't care either way, except to say that it does take a little while longer to edit, but you know, that's fine. If that's what you guys want to see, I'm all for putting those up there. So just let me know. Anyway, let's jump right in here. Block fuel is already loaded and verified. Payload is loaded and verified. Parking brake should be set. It's not. Of course not. Battery switch is on. That's up top here. And that's this guy right here. Primary flight computers, auto and guarded. So basically, here's how this works, guys. We're going down each panel here, right? Except that the Apu is last. Now this one does bounce around a little bit, but the easiest flow for this is to go right down the panels, okay? So we're on external power. APU is going to stay off for now. All of these should be on, so should these, and all those lights should be on. Wipers should be off. Emergency lights need to be armed, so left click and then left click the guard, and there you go. This guy stays off. These should both be blank. The guard's closed. Window heat is on. Ram air turbine, same thing. Guard closed, no lights. On, and then all 4 of these off and these 2 off, and then all the fault lights should be on. No smoking sign stays on all the time. Seatbelts can go to auto. None of these lights are needed right now. It's daytime. Coming back up here, we can do our fire overheat test. There we go. And then all of these should be lights off. This guard should be closed, no light on there. Normal on the EEC modes, both guards closed. Normal on the starters, auto start on. Everything blank on the fuel jettison. And all the fuel pumps off right now because we don't have the APU on. Anti-ice all stays on auto. Nav lights are on. All the other lights are off. We can right click this, move away so that it stays on. That lets us check all of our lights are working. They are there, and if you look down here, you can see everything's working here, and these guys down here, all your lights come on here. That's what you should be seeing when you do that lights test. And then you can just left click it to turn them back off. These guys stay off here. Equipment cooling is on auto, Gasper's on auto, recirc's on auto, flight deck and cabin temp, those both on auto as well. We can turn left and right packs on because we do have an air cart on the ground. Those off lights, they'll either, I'm not sure with the air cart. I know once you have the engines running, those off lights go off after a couple of minutes. Trim air is on, bleed airs or isolation switches all on auto. Left and right engine bleed airs should both be on with the off lights showing, and APU is set to auto. Pressurization is auto. Excuse me, I had a hiccup there. And don't touch anything there. And then the right wiper is in the off position. Now if I go to my pre-flight checklist and I go down, I can just go down this list and just look and check and so on. And then we can also hop down here and we can say, okay, we didn't test the oxygen. That's the only thing we didn't do, right? So we can test this guy. There we go, oxygen's working. And then we'll hop back down here. So oxygen's good. Flight instruments, we haven't set anything yet because I forgot the bottom of this checklist is the Apu. So you turn that guy on, then we hop down here. See, as soon as I start doing it different for a video, I get all out of whack. Make sure the AirAct cycle is up to date, proper model, engine rating, all of that good stuff. Position initialization, and we're going to be at KPHX. There we go. And maybe my mind's just drawing a blank, but why is it not asking me to put my position in here? There it goes. Just took a second. We'll go over to the next page. We'll grab this GPS position, 3326 and 11159. That should be pretty close to where we're at, right? 3326 and 112.07. So yeah, it's really close actually. Put that in there, and that takes care of position initialization. And we haven't set the altimeter yet. What did we say the altimeter was? I gotta pull up my active sky on this other side here real quick. And the altimeter is 29907, so we'll set that. Here we go, 29907. That sets the altimeter, and that should take care of our pre-flight checklist. Alright, so as I mentioned, there's a lot more items on the checklist that I have paper copies of than what shows up on here. So let's take a look at our cockpit preparation checklist here. Window heat's all on, so that's jumping up top here. The window heat is all on. Primary left and right engine hydraulic pump switches are on, and I went through all of this real quick when I did my my pre-flight flow real quick, right? But this is technically part of the cockpit preparation checklist. So these two off, all four of these are off as well. Primary flight computers, this guy is closed. Thrust asymmetry compensation is on auto, that's this guy right here. And again, these are all on or auto. APU is not going to be on right now, but you can leave the APU jet in the on position. Left and right bus ties are both auto. These guys all on with the off lights showing. Nav light down over here is on. Logo light, if you need it, goes on. Cockpit lights, we don't need any of those. And I'm actually looking at the wrong portion of the checklist, so we'll jump back where we're supposed to be. No smoking signs are on. Seatbelts auto. EEC mode and engine selectors, again, normal for both of those. Auto start switches is in the on position. Left forward fuel pump pressure light, so that pressure light would go out if we had the APU running, but we don't. Wing and engine anti-ice stays in auto. Equipment cooling is on auto as well. That's up over here now. So anti-ice and then back up over here. So equipment cooling on auto. Gasper switches on. Recirc fans are on. So if you've been watching the FedEx cargo operations that I've been doing, some of these switches aren't in there because that they are for a passenger version of this aircraft, not a cargo version. So that's a specific built cargo version of that aircraft. Okay, moving on. Flight deck temp and control selectors, these guys here, again, auto for both of those. Left and right pack control switches are auto as well. Trim air is on. Isolation switches are all auto. Left and right engine bleeds are on with the off lights showing. APU is in auto. And then pressurization all in auto as well. And then that takes us down to the FMC. Now technically on the pre-flight checklist, Fmc Initialization was the last item, which is what we did when we initialized the inertial position here. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to set up our route. So if we go to our route page, I'm going to request a route. I saved it in the 777 folder, and it's Phoenix to EGLL. We're going to request that. And then it's going to take a second to load, especially for this one because it's a big route. But this is going to save us having to put all that in. So if you're using SimBrief, especially if you're using Sim Toolkit Pro, you can just export that file. Before you hit start flight, export that file as a PMDG file, save it in the proper folder, and you're all set. Let's load that in. And it's going to take a second to load. There you go. So now you see Phoenix to EGLL, and we're flight BAW. Oh wait, let me clear that off. We got to activate it. And then we are BAW. I can never find the letters, can I? 0704. One more time. 07. Whoops. Well, I'm having a hard time here, aren't I? 0704. There we go. That's our flight number there. And then if you can see there's 6 pages now, right? So if you click through here, this is our route, mostly direct. So we would have had to put all of these in, right? That's a lot to put in. And then there's a couple of airways in there as well. If you go to our legs page, there's still only 6 pages. But we're just looking for discontinuities real quick. We're not seeing any of those. This is our Atlantic crossing here. So you can see there, and then we don't have our arrival, we don't have our departure or arrival put in yet. So we can click on departure arrival, and we said it's going to be the FORP1. Well, we didn't say anything. It's going to be the FORP1. And let me just look over here. So it's FORP1 out to ABQ. So we want to put that in there, and we're going to take runway 8. So put all those in there, execute that. Now you can go back to your legs page. So this is all part of our departure here until we get out to ABQ, and that also shows up in our route page as well. If you go to page 2, there you go, FORP1 to ABQ, and then direct and so on from there. Pretty straightforward. Now we can go to performance initialization, and we can request this as well. Rather than plugging these numbers in ourselves, we'll request performance initialization, and I have it set to not auto request it because that just bugs me for whatever reason. So rather than having it continue to, you know, ding at me and say, oh, you've got this one, you know, you've got this one, this one, this one, I don't like to do that. I prefer to request it myself. So we'll accept that. All right, and then go to our thrust limits page, and we're going to do normal takeoff, normal climb, because we are pretty heavy. And then flaps, we'll do flaps 15 departure. You know, I stopped using TopCat because it's not matching up with the aircraft. And as far as I understand, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, whoever made that program stopped supporting it altogether. So it's almost impossible to find new profiles and stuff like. I just gave up on it. It's a real shame too. Click on center of gravity once and twice. Trim's going to be 3.25. V1 at 144, VR at 150, and V2 at 159. Now, we still have a couple more things we want to request. Go to your legs page and go route data, and you see you got wind here, right? I'm going to wind request or wind data request. Click on that. Give it just a second here. Sent request. So it does take a little bit longer to do it this way, I get that, but this is still my preference. So there we go. It's the uplink is ready. We'll load it. Alright, and now you've got your wind in here. So if you click on these, see, and that did the descent for it. We'll do that one in a second. So if I click on this, now I've got my wind at different altitudes in there, right? So, and then if you go to your VNAV, page 3, okay, and then so you see it says the uplink is ready. So I'm going to hit forecast. This is for the descent forecast, and it's already uplinked, so I'm going to hit load, and it should load those in there for our descent as well. We'll see. There we go. Alright, so our descent, these will be the winds on our descent here, or thereabouts. I mean, it's almost a 10-hour flight, so those are probably going to change, right? So that takes care of all of our uplinks, and we've taken care of setting up our V speeds. Now we do need to set up the MCP. So remember that our V2 is 159, right? So we want to go 159 plus 5 is 164. So V2 plus 5 is what I've continued to use. So we'll stick with that. Flight directors can both go on. Having glanced really quick, let's see if I can pull it back up. Come on. This is one thing that's driving me nuts. My Navigraph charts signs out like at random times. So I have to sign back in, and it always seems to do it while I'm making a video, which drives me even baddier because, you know, I'm making a video right now. Signing into Navigraph charts is just a pain in the butt. Anyway, so we have a top altitude of 8,000 feet on our departure, and you'll see that when we get to the departure brief. So we're going to set this to 8,000 for now. Not 7, 8. There we go, 8,000 feet on that, and then runway heading is going to be probably 078, but I'm going to double check that as well. It's 078, which it's really weird. So in Phoenix, I'll just show you this real quick. So runway 8 is 078, and runway 7 left and right are both 078, right? So why is this one runway 8 and 26 and these are 7 and 25? I don't understand that. They're all pointed exactly the same way, right? So I find that a little strange, but whatever. It is what it is. So anyway, we want to put 078 on the heading. 08, there we go, 078. And what else we got on here? We can arm LNAV, VNAV if we want. And you don't have to arm it here. Auto brake needs to be set to RTO. Crank that down there. Comm and audio panel setup. Now I do have an ATC program called POSCON, and you guys will get a chance to see that in the not too distant future, but not right now. Now here's something that I find interesting. 29 or 7 is supposed to be the altimeter, but look at how far off that shows. It's 200 feet. If I hit the Bravo key, it's still 29 or 7, but it moved that, and that I think that has to do with the IRS or the ADARU alignment. But anyway, let's press on here. Transponder and TCAS. So we're gonna do our typical transponder code, but when we start flying on ATC, we'll get a transponder code from them. We'll test that real quick. And so it's, in a way, it's like other online ATC things. So sometimes there's controllers, sometimes there's not. It's very new. You probably haven't even heard of it, but it does work really well. And when we do our first group flight, which should be in the not too distant future here, you guys are going to get an opportunity to see that. And one of the guys that we have over at Mac Air has volunteered to be the controller for that group flight. He's a certified controller, air traffic controller. So he's going to do the controlling for, so you'll get to see full ATC on that, and you'll get to see how bad I can mess that up. Alright, and so that takes us up to our taxi and takeoff briefing. So again, let's bring Sim Toolkit Pro over here, and let's take a look at what we got going on here. So our ATIS, hold on, coughing in your face there, you got to get that right. Our ATIS is on 127.575, Phoenix clearance on 18.1, ground, we are on the north side, we are right over here, so ground for us is going to be 119.75, and then tower is going to be 118.7. Taking a look here, again, we're down on this end of the terminal here, gate B25, so when we push back, we'll push back here, and then we're just going to take Charlie straight on down here, Charlie 1, and then hold short at Bravo 1 for runway 8. Now taking a look at our departure, it's going to be the FORP 1 departure today, and for runways 7 and 8, it's climb on heading 078 to 1635 feet, then direct to Sparky, and then a left turn direct to FORP. So you can see direct out to Sparky here, okay, once we hit 1635, and then out here to FORP, and then it's on course from there. So it's pretty straightforward. And then departure is going to be on 19.2. The airport elevation is 1,135 feet, and transition altitude is 18,000 feet here. But transition altitude is definitely going to be different when we get over to Europe. And that takes care of your taxi and departure briefings. Any questions? No, because it's a video. We've talked about this before, people. All right, while our passengers finish boarding here, which is taking forever, and that's my fault, by the way. I set the timings a little too high on GSX, so I'll have to fix that for a later flight. But don't worry, you're not going to have to sit here while they finish loading. But I do want to note a couple of things real quick. First of all, these black textures on these CRJs, this is Ultimate Traffic Live that I've got running. I don't know which file is missing or how to fix it, and I can't find anything in any forums. And obviously, especially at an airport like Phoenix, there's a lot of these CRJs. So if any of you know how to fix this black texture issue, I would greatly appreciate it, because I'm really sick of looking at those things. The second thing I'd like to note here is with this new system, and I think this is really important because I've brought this up before. With this new system, you can see right now, sitting outside the aircraft, I'm getting around 40 frames per second. And you can see I've got quite a bit of traffic out there. In fact, I've got the airline traffic at 60%, and I've got the settings for P3D, the base graphics and world settings and all that, just about maxed out. I've got density, all that stuff pretty much maxed out. And you can see we're running really good here. Now I'm going to just hop in the aircraft, and you see that the frame rates now, if you look in the lower right corner, have dropped to 33. And so I'm averaging at just about every add-on airport I go to, I'm averaging around 30 frames per second inside a complex aircraft like the 777 or the 747 from PMDG, with the airline traffic density at 60%, with one exception. And this is why I bring this up, and then I'm gonna shut up, and that'll be that. UK 2000 Heathrow Extreme. I cannot get over 20 frames per second with AI traffic on, and I can barely get over 20 frames per second with the AI traffic off at UK 2000, and that is with it not set at extreme. That's with it set at the middle. They got 3 levels: really low, mid-range, and then extreme. I've got it mid-range, and I turned off all the static aircraft models, and I'm still barely squeezing out 20 frames per second. Why do I bring this up? Because I complained about it before on this channel about EGLL, about UK 2000 Heathrow Extreme being so hard on the frame rates, and And a few folks told me, well, if you tweak this, you can tweak this or that or whatever. It's probably your settings, something like. Listen, this system runs really good, really good, and I still can't do it on this system, and that's without it being on extreme. So quite frankly, I disagree. It's not really good. It's not. The scenery looks great, but it's so hard on your system. Okay, I should not have to crank down all the settings on a good system like this to get that scenery to run at 30 frames per second or more. It is not optimized well at all. That's just my opinion. Maybe you're getting it to run better. Maybe you can send me some info on how to get it to run better. But I've tried everything that's been suggested before, and it isn't making any difference. And I don't want to have to lower the settings on my global settings on my P3D just to accommodate that one airfield. I don't like that. So I just wanted to hop in here real quick while I'm waiting for the passengers to finish loading, and just note that that airport is really, really hard on the scenery. And from what I hear, the Aerosoft version of EGLL or Heathrow is just as hard on the frames. So I don't know what it is about that airport, but it's just not being friendly, I guess. So so there you have it. Everything seems to run really solid on the system except that airfield, which is a real shame. But other than that, everything's been going great with this new build, and I'm just loving it. So thank you again to all of you guys. You guys are just amazing. Alright, I'm going to hop off now. Once passengers are done loading, we'll hop back in here and we'll get ready to push and start. Alrighty, let's take a look at our before start checklist now that we're all loaded up here. Finally. Cabin and cargo doors closed and armed. We can verify that by going to our doors page. There it is. Nope, they're not. Entry 4 is not closed and armed, so that's why we check it. There we go. Close. And external power. So while that's closing, let's go ahead and fire up the APU so that we can disconnect external power. Jump back down here. So it's closed, but it's not armed, right? So we gotta arm it. And then we'll move this over to the status page. And just waiting on the APU to actually start spinning up, which it's not doing right now for some reason. That's interesting. Jump back up here. Did I do something wrong? No. Start. That should be it, right? Fuel pump light went off. Ah, there it goes. Maybe I just didn't, maybe I clicked it too quick or something? I don't know, I've never had that problem before. Anyway, so as the APU is starting up, let's see here. All the hydraulic pump selectors are going to go to auto here in just a second. Seatbelt sign is on. Beacon light's going to need to come on, so let's go ahead and turn that on real quick. Whoops. Beacon light on. And then up here it's going to be the right electric, and then C1 and C2, so these two here, and then it's left, whoops, I gotta right click it, then it's C1 and C2. There we go. And we should be just about ready to go on the APU while we're at it. There we are, fantastic. So we're on the APU now, so let's turn the primary external power off, and we can hop back down here and disconnect it. Go to your ground connections and disconnect those. Let's request our pushback while we're at it. Departure clearance requested. And what else we got here? Left and right fuel pump switches all need to come on. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I don't think we have any fuel in the center, but let's just take a quick look here. Do we? Yeah, we do. We got a little bit in there. So let's put the center pumps on as well. And what else?
Okay. We're ready for pushback.
That's it. We're ready for pushback. Fantastic. So we just need him to hook up. Get in our proper position here. Oh, let me move my chair to where it belongs.
Locking gear.
And let's make sure that parking brake is set. It is. So let's remove the wheel chocks. I'll pop this up. Just makes it easier. FMC. This one goes on the legs page. This one stays on the takeoff page. And the start is really easy on this guy. You're just going to click the start switch over, So looking up here, let's see, we're gonna have to do a quick edit here. So quick edit, whoop. So we're gonna be going this way. So, well, you can't hardly see that line, can you? Now I saved an outside view here that does not appear to be showing up, unfortunately. Why isn't it there? So you can save these views, right? And so I saved one that's supposed to be a higher view because for the life of me I can't get this to zoom out. I know how you're supposed to be able to do it, but it never works for me. That's right. We'll just use what we got here. Put her just like that. That's going to be a funky little pushback, but that's going to have to work.
Departure check completed.
We're going to go back inside. No, now we are.
Release parking brakes.
All right, there we go. So there's your quick edit pushback. We're not on A cars right now, so we were able to do that.
Clear. Start at will.
All right, let's take care of the engine startup. So over here, we need this to be on the engine page. Did they not move? They didn't, did they? They never moved the jetway back. So look, we're just dragging our way across the jetway because that makes good sense. Good call on that one, GSX. Oy. Look at that, they just left it there. It's supposed to automatically move it. Or at least it, oh, now it's gone. That's awesome. Alright, let's jump down here and let's go through our before start checklist on here real quick because we haven't done that yet. So, flight deck door is closed and locked. MCP V2 is set at 164, heading is 078, and altitude is set to 8,000. V1 is 144, VR is 150, V2 is 159, CDU pre-flight is complete, trim is not set yet, and taxi and takeoff briefing is complete. So we'll put this back on the engines page real quick, and then you jump up top here, all the way up here, left click to start. And as soon as the N2 starts coming up, you can go ahead and introduce fuel. And then we just wait for her to start up. I think the GSX sound is way too loud in this instance. Can't hear the engine starting up at all out there. I know you can change that as well. Wow, just bam, stopped, huh? Okay.
Waiting your confirmation for good engine start.
Yep, and now that's gonna beep at me until we're done starting engine number 1 every 10 seconds. Okay, let's start 1. N2's coming up. Bring in the fuel. Easy days. Well, at least it's not still beeping at me. That's nice. Oh, I lied. It's still beeping at me. Right, number 1's taking his time starting, isn't it? Waiting for that starter to click out. There it goes. We can go and confirm good engine start now then. Confirm. I don't think it needs to show that. It should have him talk instead, shouldn't it? That would make more sense to me. Oh well. I think we're good to go on that, right? Yep. So the packs will take a second, and then the lights will go off, and that takes care of our push and start. Alright, we got both engines started. The ground equipment's getting out of the way. Let's take a look at our before taxi checklist. Left and right generator control switches need to be on with the lights off. That's these two down here. APU selector switch can go off now. Oh, that's start. We just want to go off. Engine start selectors are both on normal. Left and right pack control switches are auto and lights off. So like I said, it takes a minute. Sometimes I have to reset them. It seems like the lights just won't go out unless I reset them. So maybe that's what you're supposed to do. Left, center, and right isolation valve switches are auto with lights off. Engine bleed air switches are on with the lights off. Flaps need to be set, which is going to be flaps 15. Which should be that one there. There we go. Flaps 15 is coming in right now. Stabilizer trim is set to 3.25 units, and flight controls need to be checked. There's another cough in your face there. Go full left, full right, and neutral. All the way up, all the way down, and neutral. And then a full left, full right, and neutral. And I'm here to tell you folks, if you're looking for a good yoke, the Honeycomb Alpha Flight Yoke is awesome. I absolutely love this thing. Let's see, recall switch push. The only thing that should come up is TCAS, which is correct. Wing and anti-ice is auto. Taxi light is already on. Runway turn off lights are on. Let's take a look at our checklist on here real quick. Anti-ice is good. Recall is good. Flight controls are checked. Ground equipment is clear. And that takes us to our before takeoff checklist, so we can move this back over to the engines page, and we're ready to go. Alrighty folks, here comes the birthday celebration flight. Bring the throttles in a little bit, get her moving, and away we go. She is nice and heavy. Oh, let me turn the track hour on here. A little jump. There we go. You can see part of the seat right there. It's so hard to get the right adjustment. You know, you could zoom it out, right? And then like, here, let me turn this off. So what would be better, you think? Like that? I guess that looks a little better like that. And then if I turn track IR on, you don't see the seat. That's probably where it's supposed to be. It's more like that, right? So I try to set the view so that you guys can see the best. I think you guys can probably see like that. I'm gonna save that view for now. Now let's turn that track IR back on. Yeah, because that looks a little more natural, right? It looks like that's right about where your head's supposed to be. But if you don't zoom it out when you do that, if you have it zoomed in too much, then, because this is where it was right here. So, you know, you'd have to look down to be able to see. And in real life, that wouldn't be so bad. Oh, come on. Let me reset it here. In real life, that wouldn't be so bad, except because your range of vision is much better. What is dinging at me down here? Beats me. Doesn't say. Now we can bring our yokes up at this point. Have them where they belong. Alright guys, I got a taxi down to the other end, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this taxi, and then I'll be back on here when we're holding short of the runway. Alright folks, as you can see, we're coming up to the runway here. We're just going to pull straight on. There's no traffic coming in. Let's roll right into our before takeoff checklist. Obviously our landing lights are going to need to come on. Strobe lights need to come on. Transponder is already set to TCAS, and we can turn on the weather radar and start the clock. LNAV and VNAV are both armed, and we need to click on the traffic mode here. Now watch, traffic's going to show up. No traffic showing up. I forgot to click that before I jumped on here to say something. And that is our before takeoff checklist. And on here, if we look over here, our before takeoff, come on, click it. There you go. Our before takeoff checklist is already done. So put this back on the engines page. Continue straight out onto the runway. Double check, make sure we don't see anybody coming that way or that way. As I was taxiing out here, guess what I passed? British Airways Boeing 747. I thought that was kind of funny. Alright, a little bit further here. The wheel is behind us, the nose wheel. It's right about there-ish, I believe. This thing turns sharp too. Might have overshot it a little bit. Yeah, maybe just a little. Just barely though. It's because I changed that zoom. I'm used to it one way and I changed it to another. So, okay, bring her to a stop here real quick. Bring in some thrust. Take off. Release the brakes. Thrust ref. Oh, we definitely could have done a reduced takeoff. Positive brake, gear coming up. Flaps to 5. This thing climbs like crazy, doesn't it? And we're just following that flight director now. There's thrust reduction altitude. A little much there. There we go, right in there. Just you don't want to chase it too hard. Again, just a little nose down trim will help us out. Flaps 1. Drifting to the left a little bit there. Little updraft. That wasn't me. There we go. So far so good. And there's our turn. Flaps coming up. There we go. Not too bad. A little more nose up trim will get us where we need to be. And let's go ahead and engage that autopilot. Track hour coming off, little jump. There it is. Let's take a look at our after takeoff checklist. Landing gear is up. Auto brake can go off, which it is. Once we get above 10,000 feet here shortly, the landing lights will come off. Seatbelt signs will stay on, and transition altitude, of course, is 18,000 feet. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, you guessed it, it is time once again for some of that obligatory elevator music. Alrighty folks, we are a little over 150 nautical miles from top of descent, and of course we got a little bit of housekeeping to do. However, I came on here a little bit earlier than I normally would because I am nearly 100% positive that I forgot to thank somebody in regards to the donations towards the new PC build, and that's Airman MD. And I'm not using his first name on here because I don't think I even asked him if I could or not. Or maybe I did thank him, I don't remember. But Airman MD is a subscriber to the channel. He's a member of Mac Air, and he donated 32 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM. He had 2 RAM cards that he wasn't using. They were nearly brand new. He had bought them, started to use them, and then decided to go with something else, and he donated those to me and sent them to me. And I wanted to make sure I thanked him for that as well, because I didn't realize it until a little bit before I was going to start this build, and I don't know how I didn't know this, but I was running DDR3 RAM, which certainly could have been part of the problem I was having anyway. So I just wanted to make sure that I gave a shout out to Airman MD and thanked him for his donation as well. And I think, if I remember correctly, I think he donated some money too. But honestly, so many of you were so generous, and I really tried to keep track of it. I definitely kept track of how much money was donated total. I kept it separated from my normal funds so that there wouldn't be any confusion there, but I'm not sure I did the best job at tracking the donations. I think I missed 1 or 2 people, and if I did, I truly apologize, but I definitely tried to keep good track of it. So thank you again to everybody who donated towards this new PC build. I truly appreciate all of you guys. You guys are amazing, and all those of you who either weren't able to donate, or like I said, even if you just didn't want to, I totally understand. I still appreciate your support of the channel. You guys are always being interactive and giving comments and help down in the comments section and so on, and so I just really appreciate it. I just really wanted to express that one more time. So all of that being said, let's take a look at our descent procedures here really quick. It's pretty straightforward and simple. First things first, down here on our FMC, you can see there we are 140 nautical miles from top of descent. Now, based on a comment from one of you guys, and I can't remember who, I probably should have clipped out the comment or something. Maybe I'll clip out the comment if I can find it, and I'll put it down here in the video editing. But you were saying, hey, you probably won't float it as much if you're not landing with full flaps, which is a valid point. Full flaps creates more ground effect and greater lift while in ground effect, and so you're more likely to float the aircraft. So for this landing, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring it down to or up, if you will, to flaps 25. So that'll be 142 knots. We got plenty of runway to work with. So we'll be landing a little faster, but hopefully we won't float it down the runway as much. I'm trying to get out of that habit anyway. I still like those nice butter smooth landings, but a nice butter smooth landing really only counts if you don't float it halfway down the runway to do it. Let's be honest about that. And I know that I've been pretty bad about doing that in just about every landing. So that's going to be our landing there. Now, as far as our departure and arrival goes, you want to go in here and make sure that you select your your arrival and your approach. So it's going to be the, I think it's called the BEDIC one. Yeah, BEDIC 1H and ILS 27 left. Quick note at Heathrow, for those of you who don't know, even though the wind's in our favor for 27 anyway, runway 27 left and right are the preferred runways, even if there is up to a 5-knot tailwind. So we're most likely going to be landing 27 left unless for some reason the wind flips the other direction and is going more than 5 miles an hour. So we get that set up in there, we're good to go on that, and then we leave this on this page here in preparation for descent. Flight instruments, nav, altitude, all that stuff needs to be set. So our initial descent altitude is going to be down to 14,000 at BEDIC. So I'm going to bring this down. Let's just flip that over to 1,000. It's a lot quicker this way. All right. Bring it back over here, and that'll at least get us ready for the initial descent. Transition altitude is going to be 6,000 feet. You want to make sure that you change that when you make this long trip across the pond here. Go into your VNAV. Now, if there's another place to do this, somebody let me know, because I was looking and couldn't find it. On page 1 of the VNAV, there is transition altitude. You can see I've changed it to 6,000 feet from 18,000. And so that should be sufficient, even though this is the climb page. I was hoping that it would be on the descent page, but it was not. So you guys let me know if there's another place to do that, and I would surely appreciate it. You can also forecast. You can request a new forecast, so you can see we're at 49, 53, 35, 33. We can go ahead and request it, and let's see if those change. We'll give it just a second here to go through. And this is always a good idea anyway, just good practice. It'd be great if all add-on aircraft automatically had these types of features, but they don't. So let's just give it a second here. Okay, so now 49, 53, 35, and 33. Let's load and see if it changes. Looks like it's forecast to be the same. So there we have it. Put it back on that page. Hop back up here. One of the things I learned is it's a good idea, and you can't see it on that one, Kenny, but I do have them synced. It's a good idea to make sure that your altimeter it's on standard when you press it, but set it to 29902. So when you cross transition altitude, if you're continuing to descend, which we will be, you can change it a little gradually so you don't go off of VNAV pass. So set it to 29902. Or what is it, 1013 is standard, or is it 1014? I'm not sure under QNH. But anyway, and obviously I must have lied because this is set to inches instead of Q. Well, no, that's not an aircraft. You don't change it here. So actually, let's look. You just change this guy here, right? So it's not even letting me do it right now. So we'll just leave it on inches. Oh, it did do it, didn't it? It's staying in inches for some reason. Wonder why that is. Okay, well anyway, set it to standard on the standby so that when you press that button it doesn't make a huge jump all of a sudden. There we go. That was a long explanation for that, wasn't it? We're getting close to the top of descent already because I'm talking too much. Push the recall switch over here. Bam, there it is. Make sure that nothing pops up that you're not expecting. Auto brake as required. We're not going to need auto brake. We got 12,000 feet of runway. We're going to be fine. Landing data is set, so VREF is going to be 142, and we're going to set 142 plus 5 on here, so 147. And that brings us into our arrival and approach briefing. Bam! Sim Toolkit Pro. Still loving this thing, you guys. If you haven't picked it up, pick it up. It's free and it's awesome. Okay, so it's going to be the BEDEC, I guess is how you say that, or BEDEC. 1H arrival for us. We got 3 different frequencies for ATIS, so I guess you just pick one and listen in. Airport elevations at 83 feet. This is an RNAV or a GPS approach. Alright. During periods of congestion, traffic may be routed via OCK, which is where we're going to be going anyway. OCK 1Z is directed by ATC, so that's a different arrival. Alright. We're coming in out of here at BEDEC or BEDEC. We need to be at 14,000 when we get there, and then it's 103 degrees to Nidget, and then from there a left turn to 091 down to Lima Lima Whiskey 03, max 250 knots there, and then all the way down to 7,000. You can see that's flight level 70, max 220 knots. And if you were paying attention, you saw that I actually set that in the VNAV page as a speed restriction for us. And then that's a holding point there. And then you got a warning right here. It says do not proceed beyond OCK without ATC clearance. Well, we're going to assume that we have ATC clearance, and we're going to continue on to our ILS approach. So keep in mind that OCK, coming back over here real quick, OCK is south of the runways, and it doesn't show up on here. So OCK would be down here somewhere. All right. Taking a look at our briefing strip up here again, 3 ATIS frequencies. Heathrow director or approach, so I guess they call it director over there, whereas we would call it you know, like Phoenix approach or New York approach or whatever, is 119.730. 2 different tower frequencies, 18.505 and 18.705, and then 3 ground frequencies, and they would transition us over to ground after landing. Localizer frequency is 109.5 with a final approach course of 270 degrees. Glide slope intercept at 4.0 from ILL, 1,400 feet. Again, airport elevation 83 feet. The runway threshold is at 77 feet here. Now, our missed approach procedures. Climb straight ahead when passing 1,080 feet, or when you're directly over the ILL. Is that the VO? No, ILL is the ILS, right? Yeah. That's kind of weird. Yeah, so that's the ILS, that's the actual ILS signal that goes out. So when you're directly over it, or when you pass 1,080 feet, whichever is later, make a climbing turn to the left on track 147 to 2,000 feet. Once you're 6 nautical miles from the London VOR up here, climb without delay to 3,000, then as directed. Alright, so a little different as far as a missed approach procedure is concerned there. Now you can see coming in here, the waypoints are labeled as just distances. So distance 7.5, 4.0, 1.0, and then ILL is the actual ILS identifier. And you can see down here on our plan view, again, 7.5 is our initial approach fix here. And then coming down here to, so it's showing it like glide slope intercept there, but it says here that glide slope intercept is at 4, which is here or here, right? So that's kind of weird to me. I don't know why it's set up that way. Maybe one of you guys knows that a little bit better than I do, and you could explain that to me. But it looks to me like this really is your glide slope intercept here, to be honest with you. But I did read some of the what's the word I'm looking for? Some of the information pages, and boy, there's a lot that goes into arrivals and departures at Heathrow. A lot. So it has something to do with that, and what they call a continuous descent profile. And basically, up until you intercept a glide slope, they want you moving right along. They want you moving right along. So anyway, PAPI lights on the left-hand side. I've been doing a lot of talking on this one. It's the weather's looking pretty clear, so it's going to be just a Cat 1 ILS for us. Decision altitude 277 feet, and that is your arrival and approach briefing. And we should be descending here shortly, just a few nautical miles until we do. Last thing we need to do is we need to take care of our onboard checklist, because I'm really bad about this. So we did that one. Okay, recall has been checked, nodes are checked, auto brake is off and will stay off. Landing data, VREF is 142, minimum is 277 feet. Approach briefing is completed. Descent checklist complete. Alright guys, so I'm going to hop off here. I talked more than I intended to anyway, and I'll see you guys when we're about to start the approach. Alrighty folks, as you can see here, we're getting up, we're just about 9 miles from OCK. You can see the airfield off to the left there, and as you can see, our frame rates have absolutely tanked. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is with the AI traffic turned off. That's why this airport frustrates me so much. I think that UK 2000, in my opinion, should go back and do a better job of optimizing it. I know it's a big airport with a lot going on, but everywhere else I go, I get 30 frames per second. Everywhere except this airfield right now. Another thing I'd like to note real quick is even though we changed the transition altitude on that VNAV page, you can see the standard there is in yellow, because as far as the aircraft is concerned, we've already passed transition altitude. But we haven't, of course. It's 6,000 feet. So if you remember, we went to the VNAV page, page 3, and we changed transition altitude. I'm sorry, we went to page 1 and we changed transition altitude to 6,000 feet. So that shouldn't be yellow right now, but it is. So I don't really know what the deal is with that. But it is what it is. I did switch it over to QNH. So real quick, we're looking at, maybe, if I can get that to go away. There we go. We're looking at wind 2209 knots, unlimited visibility, and QNH is 1010. So we are going, once we get below 6,000, we'll obviously make that change, and we'll be good to go. So let's go ahead and throw in that first setting of flaps, and that should help keep us down on our speed. Now these speeds, they want you coming in here pretty quick, and it's for separation. Now what it says on the information charts is, hey, any speed assigned by ATC needs to be adhered to, and it needs to be adhered to strictly, and it's for separation purposes. You notice all the scenery loading in out there as we come in, but I've got scenery, the draw distance set to max, so it just, I don't know if it's just London in general because there's so much going on, or if it's this airfield or what, but it is rough. You can see some of the scenery, it doesn't even load in until I look over there, so it's pretty harsh. But anyway, okay, so we're going to be on top of this pretty quick. You can see here, I'll pop this up for you. So I added, I changed the way this turn is just a little bit because it had us turning here and then ducking right in, which was a really quick turn, and that's probably what they want us to do, but I added this waypoint and this waypoint in there just to give us a little more space to get set up. It's only 5 miles, but 5 miles can make a pretty big difference sometimes. So I've shown you guys how to do that before, but if you don't remember, let me know down in the comments and I'll be happy to show it again in another video. Okay, so I think we'll just hang out on here, and if there's too much blank space, then I will just edit that out, and on to the approach we'll go. I got a sneeze coming anyway. Hold on, it's in there somewhere. Before landing checklist, below 10,000 feet, landing lights are on. Speed brakes need to be armed. We can probably do that, even though our speed seems to be struggling to stay down here. In fact, it's struggling quite a bit, so we can't arm the speed brakes yet. We need to use them. Get that speed to come back down. There we go. Boy, those engines were throttled up pretty high. What? Speed brake. Something. It's telling me drag required, but then it's giving me a warning for having the speed brake on. Because that makes sense. Alright, anyway, seatbelt signs are set. Altimeters, not until we get below 6,000 feet, but it's going to be 1010, and I have changed it over to hectopascals. So, and that's going to be a sharp turn either way. So it was a sharp turn no matter what we did, but it's going to be a lot sharper now. Let's go ahead and change this over. So 1013 is standard. We're at 1010. There we go. And let's throw in that next setting of flaps. Bring that speed down a little bit more, maybe. It looks like it's just going to stay at 220 for the moment. We're going to lower it to 210. I doubt they'd have you try to make that turn. In fact, we're going to come down to 200. I don't think that they would have you making this turn, whether with the added waypoints or not. They're not going to have you making that turn at 220 knots because you're just not going to make it. The aircraft's not going to be. I mean, it might make that turn, but the turn radius on it, this big airplane at that speed is going to be a pretty broad turn radius. All right, we're looking pretty good though. Just continue on down here. If we look over here, we can see here's our altitude setup, right? So it's got us 2,500 there, but glide slope intercept is supposed to be at looks like 1,400 feet. So 2,500 is at 7.5. Final approach fix for 27 left is just what it's listed as. So kind of interesting that they do that. I see that a lot more when I fly over in Europe than when I fly in the States. Alright, we're going to bring that speed down quite a bit more, down to 180. And let's go ahead and hit that localizer switch, and we're going to get really busy here really fast. Speed's coming down nicely. Localizer is captured. Hit the approach switch. And we need to be at 146 is our final landing speed, but it does say to stay at 160 until you're pretty darn close. So as you can see, our frame rates are struggling. I think some of that has to do with London. That's fair. Some of it definitely has to do with London because it's just such a dense city. So I could probably reduce density a little bit, and that might help, but still, it's pretty rough. 17 frames per second. We should be able to land. We shouldn't really get any choppiness per se because we don't have any AI traffic, so we shouldn't have anything loading in and out. Okay, let's get the gear down, bring in the next setting of flaps, and then we'll only have one more setting of flaps from there. We're going until we get to the final approach fix, because that's what it says to do. So we'll maintain 160 until final approach fix, and then on in from there we'll throw out that next setting of flaps and get the speed all the way down to 146. So we're looking good so far. Let's get track IR on here. Little jump coming up. There we go. All right. I guess I didn't really need to go that far out though. I mean, if you're looking at it right now, that is a long approach there. So that's all right though. And you can see we've got a healthy wind here, 33 knots. Now that is not the wind that was reported on my active sky. It says 220 at 9. So I don't know what that's all about. I've been noticing that a lot lately with active sky. Yeah, so on one briefing it says 220 at 9, and on the other it says 250 at 18 gusting to 28. And we're at 253 and 33. So I don't know, that's just not adding up right to me. You know, it should be a little more consistent, I think. Alright, coming up on the final approach fix now. We're just a mile out. So we'll come down to 146 on the speed here, and we'll throw out that last setting of flaps. So it might be just a little bit jittery on the way in, guys. I do apologize. I really haven't been having this problem anywhere, but I mean, to be fair, look how dense the terrain is right now. So if I lower that density, I'm sure that my frame rates will come up a good bit. I just don't like the fact that I don't really have to lower it anywhere else, but I probably would if I flew into like New York or something like that. I'm sure I'd be lowering the density there as well. So alright, so we're at our VREF. Flaps are set at 25. My head's bobbing around a lot. Let's go ahead and disengage the autopilot. She immediately wants to take a little nosedive there. I don't know why that is. Alright, we're looking pretty good though. We're not too bad. And just a hair low. Alright, let's fly this bad boy in. See how that speed dropped down because we're just not holding altitude very well. I mean, we're holding altitude, but it's this little finite amount of descent rate that's making the difference, right? So, but we're tracking good here right now, tracking center line. Just keep trying to trim her out a little bit. Just a hair low there. Come on, I need those engines to get going here. There we go. We're still just kind of tracking a little to the left here, aren't we? So the throttles, to me, the auto throttle seems a little slow to respond here. And that's causing us to kind of go up and down a little bit, which can be a little frustrating at times. Because we're just a little high right now.
1,000.
Starting to wonder if I was going to get any of those call outs. Alright, I'm visual now. I got a clear view of the runway, other than the fact that we're way too high. I don't want to nosedive at it though. There we go, that's a little better there.
Approaching 2.
Just trying to keep that sight picture, you know, where that runway is, where that threshold is over the top of your windscreen there, or your dash, whatever, the front panel. And we got just a little high, but we're looking alright. We're good. Alright, let's listen to the call outs.
300.
Continue.
100.
Little high.
50. 30. 20. 10.
Come on, settle. I'm not even pulling on it. There we go. Come on. Freaking reverse thrust does not like to kick in for me right now. Come on. That wind is kind of all over the place. It's 80 knots and a little bit of manual braking here. Okay, another note that they make in the briefings is that they want you off the runways as quick as possible. They don't want you farting around on the runway, so they want you to get her off as quick as you can. So that's what we're going to do here. Start bringing those flaps up. Strobe light can come off, landing lights can come off, and APU can go on. And we're going to exit right here. And then once we get all the way off the runway, we'll worry about our after landing checklist. Not sure why my auto throttle, or not my auto throttles, my reverse thrust is not doing a little bit better job. By the way, I still floated it a little even though I was trying not to. My landing rate was minus 107, so still not too bad. Alright, let's bring her to a nice easy stop here. Come on, you big bird. Yeah, see, look at our frame rates right now. They're just absolutely terrible. So before we do our after landing checklist, I'm going to pause and reduce that scenery just a little and see if it helps. So let me bring it to a nice gentle stop here. Track hour coming off a little jump. There we go, and I'll be back in just a second. Alright folks, so in an effort to try and get a replay of the landing for the celebration of Mark's birthday, the system went absolutely bonkers. I mean, it went nuts, and in the end I had no choice but to just warp us to a gate, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is, right? So here we are at the gate. You can see we're at gate 231. And our APU is up and running, so we can go ahead and we can shut engines off now. Frame rates are just driving me insane. Like, we're at almost 30 right here, and then we come up here and it drops to 15. It's crazy how the frame rates are here. And I did lower the scenery density when I was trying to do the, oh excuse me, I had a hiccup there. I did lower the scenery density when I tried to do the replay. Did make a difference. Gave me like 2 frames per second by lowering it to like medium or whatever. So yeah, just something about this scenery, guys, makes it really rough. But anyway, let's go ahead and let's take care of our shutdown checklist here. First of all, let's get GSX working. Request deboarding, and it'll be British Airways, of course. And we'll see these little pop-ups constantly. I had to set that up. I didn't adjust the timing, so the passengers will still be unloading by the time we're done. But it is what it is. Let's hop down here and let's put our ground chocks on real quick. And hold on one sec, because my daughter just came in. What's up, baby? You absolutely may. You're welcome. She wanted a cookie. Okay, let's get those set. Let's connect to ground power, and then let's go ahead and open up doors. So which one did they say? Now I gotta wait for the pop-up again. Cargo aft, cargo forward, and left entry 2. So left entry 2 will be that one. And then cargo aft and cargo forward are those two. There we go. And let's take a look at our shutdown checklist. The parking brake is set. It is taxi light. I think I turned it off. I might not have. Nope, I didn't turn it off. It was a mess. You guys should have seen. It was absolutely ridiculous. Left and right engine fuel control switches are already cut off. Fuel pumps can go off. Seatbelt signs, we can turn those off so that they can start getting up. Beacon light is off. Nav light stays on. C1 and C2 air demand hydraulic pump selectors go off. That's these two. And then it's the left one. And then it's the two C1 and C2. And then it is the right one. There we go. That's the order you're supposed to do it in there. And then left and right fuel pump switches would go off after that, so my bad. Flight director switches can go off. Usually you just turn those off after landing. There we go. And then the APU selector switch as needed. We're going to leave that running. Actually, no, we've got ground power, so let's hook up the ground power. Primary and the secondary. Now we can turn the APU off. And that's going to wrap it up for this one, ladies and gentlemen. A very special happy birthday to my friend Mark Webster. Thank you for your several years now of support and encouragement, Mark, on this channel. I really appreciate it very much, and I appreciate all of you very much. I do hope that you guys enjoyed this flight. I know it was a very long one for me, but I did enjoy it. It is unfortunate that this scenery has given me such a hard time. If you know anything to optimize it, please do let me know. If you haven't taken the opportunity already, go ahead and smash the subscribe button and tell your friends and have them come on over and take a look and subscribe as well. I'm hoping to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I'm thinking if I can swing it and we get to 10,000, we just might do some sort of giveaway. That's what I'm hoping to do. We'll see if it works out. We'll see if we make 10,000. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. This was just kind of a random flight. I do like to do these for my subscribers on occasion. I know that there are many of you who would love to see individual flights, and when I get an opportunity, I certainly like to do those for you guys. So if you can think of a flight, feel free to put it down in the comments, and if I get an opportunity to get to it, I most certainly will. I just noticed that the jetway never bothered to connect to our aircraft. That's awesome. But that's it. That's all. No more for this one, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope you enjoyed it. As always, until next time, keep the blue side up, unless otherwise instructed by ATC. God bless you all, and have an absolutely wonderful day.